What's going on, everyone? My name is Mr. H, and welcome back to my channel. And today, I get to talk about one of my favorite superhero games of all time. And this is coming from someone who doesn't even like superheroes. I am someone who cannot stand Marvel, and I somewhat like DC, but Batman is my favorite superhero of all time, and that is the reason why I could actually say that there is a super game out there that I actually really love. Well, three superhero games. Actually, no, make that four. I really wish I could play Arkham Origins, but unfortunately, it is not available to purchase on the Xbox Store for whatever reason. So I guess I'm just stuck with the original Arkham trilogy, but that's fine. But anyways, I actually made a post yesterday or the day before yesterday. I don't remember, but I basically asked you guys what your favorite Arkham game was, and honestly, I'm very proud of my community. I'm very proud of my subscribers because most of you guys also said that your favorite Arkham game was Arkham City, and I am very proud of you guys because, in my own bold statement and in my own personal opinion, Batman Arkham City is not only a perfect superhero game, but Batman Arkham City is one of the best games ever made. This is one of these games that manages to accomplish the most important aspects of a game. I've already said it before, a game's gameplay is the heart and soul of the game. The gameplay is what makes the game a game, and the gameplay is what makes the game fun. But Arkham City goes beyond that. Not only is the gameplay fun, but everything about this game is perfect. From the story to the atmosphere, all the way down to the heart-pounding soundtrack that plays as you're actually playing this game. It is absolutely incredible. This game is a work of art. This game can be used as an example of perfection. This game proves that video games can also achieve perfection. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the gameplay of this game. Now, the first thing I actually want to talk about is Arkham City itself. Arkham City may not be GTA 5 level big or Red Dead Redemption 2 level big, but it's still a decently large map. And just because it's not as big as GTA 5, that does not make this map small. Arkham City is a fairly large open world map that gives the player full freedom to do as they wish. From the moment you suit up as Batman and from the moment you step foot in Arkham City, you are allowed to go wherever you want and explore the map for however as long as you want. And I gotta say, the exploration in this game is perfect. An open world game is supposed to give the player freedom, and this game does just that, and it knocks it right out of the water. You are able to either do the main story missions, or you could do side missions, or you could just fly around beating the shit out of people, or just collect some Riddler trophies. Because of course, Riddler trophies also make a return. I am not a huge fan of the Riddler trophies, but I know that other people are, so I gotta mention it here. But there are also a lot of detail as well. From the biggest to the smallest areas of Arkham City, this game is just jam-packed with details. There is so many details around Arkham City that actually make it feel like it really is a real life place that you are exploring as the freaking Batman. And it makes the immersion, and of course it makes the enjoyment factor of the game so much better. But yeah, there's a lot of detail around the map, and also not only that, just because this game is open world, that does not mean that the whole game takes place in an open world. There are moments where you go inside of buildings and it feels just like you're back in Arkham Asylum again. There's places like Joker's Steel Mill, which basically looks like this giant creepy twisted carnival, and it looks even better on the inside. And of course, there's Two-Face's Courthouse, or the Penguin's Museum, or Wonder Tower, or of course, underground in the sewer system. There are plenty of locations that you actually get to explore in Arkham City, and again, that just makes the exploration side so much better, because it's not just Arkham City that you have to explore. There are plenty of other little locations that you go into in this game, and the exploration feels so good. Each area you explore in this game has its own vibe and its own atmosphere, and even its own type of enemies as well. When you get to the Penguin's Museum, you get a new enemy, which is of course the armored guys. And yes, the armored guys from Arkham Asylum also make a return here, but you also got guys with shields, and they have knives, and they even have tasers at one point, which just make the combat even better. We'll talk about the combat in just a sec, but I gotta say, Arkham City as just a place to explore, it feels so good. You also have a good amount of side missions. You have 12 side missions, and some of them are good, some of them are a little generic, but that's besides the point. And now, of course, the best part of all the Arkham games, the combat. The Arkham combat is always going to be fun. There is never a moment where the combat is not going to be fun, and Arkham City is a huge improvement on Arkham Asylum. The combat feels way more intense, and it is also much more challenging because, as I said earlier, enemies will use weapons and different items against you. You have guys with shields, you have guys with tasers, and the guys with tasers, you actually cannot attack the guys with tasers head on. You have to jump over them and stun them in the backside. And I don't mean their ass, I mean their head, but you're kicking them in the ass, so it's same concept. And then you have guys with shields. When you have guys with shields, you basically have to stun them and jump on top of them with your cape. We'll talk about some of the combat upgrades in a minute, but the combat in this game feels just as good now as it did in Arkham Asylum. It's fun, it's intense. When you are dropped in a room with 40 bad guys and neither one of them can lay a hit on you and you're just beating the shit out of all of them at once, it feels so freaking satisfying. It makes you feel badass. It makes you feel like the Batman. And then, of course, you even have combat upgrades. And yes, upgrades make a glorifying return in Arkham City. The upgrades in Arkham City are amazing. They are 10 times better than they were in Arkham Asylum. You get so many cool combat upgrades. One, for example, you get one combat upgrade where all enemies that are knocked on the ground already, you basically have this ability to, you jump up in the air and you throw batarangs on top of everyone who's already knocked down on the floor, and it instantly takes them out. And then, of course, you have another upgrade that actually allows you to break all of your enemies' weapons, like knives, shields, tasers. You basically just break their weapons. The combat upgrades are absolutely amazing. And how could I forget the gadgets? You have so many more awesome gadgets in Arkham City. You've got a freeze grenade, you've got a weapon jammer, you've got a remote control batarang, and of course you have the return of smoke bombs and your explosive gel. But the upgrades in here are amazing. Oh, and how can I forget my personal favorite, the electrocution gun. It's basically like this gun that can electrocute enemies and stun them for a short period of time. And you also have the ability to combine your gadgets with your combat. As you're fighting bad guys, you could actually combine your gadgets with your combat by pressing the button on your controller. It's basically like a quick fire button. You could actually throw a batarang as you're fighting, or quickly use your electrocution gun while you're fighting as well. It makes the combat feel so much better. There's also a specific upgrade for the combat called Free Flow Focus. It basically allows Batman to fight more stronger, and it also makes them faster. It's called Free Flow Focus. Get that upgrade before you play this game. Like, when you play this game, make sure that is the first combat upgrade you get, because it basically makes you fight faster, and it also makes Batman stronger as he is fighting. But the combat in this game, it is absolutely incredible. There are moments in this game where you'll be dropped in a room with 50 bad guys, one of those Titan monsters, because of course the Titan monsters also make a return. There's also a new enemy type. It's basically like this big, tall brute who only has one arm. I believe his name is Mr. Abramovich. That's what Harley Quinn calls him. And yeah, like, when you're dropped in a room with so many bad guys and you're taking them out all at once, it makes this game's combat feel so much more satisfying. And speaking of the bad guys, one thing I forgot to mention with the open world is, as you are exploring Arkham City, instead of beating the shit out of the inmates around Arkham City, it's actually fun to just kind of listen in on them, because you could actually listen to the enemies or the bad guys when you're not attacking them, and it makes the game feel so much more realistic. And not only that, but every time you do something crazy in this game, like after you're done with a main story mission or whatever, you actually hear the bad guys talking about it, so it makes the game just feel so much more alive. It makes the open world feel more realistic. Now, of course, stealth also makes a huge comeback in Arkham City, and the stealth, what can I say? It's awesome, just like it was in Arkham Asylum. Huge improvement. The stealth feels all the more better, and the fact that you also have more gadgets to make the stealth more tactile, it makes it feel so much better, because since you have so many gadgets in this game, you have the ability to take out goons with guns in a more effective and tactical manner with the use of your gadgets. So the stealth in this game also just feels so much more better than it does in Arkham Asylum. Now, one other thing I want to talk about is the boss fights. The boss fights in Arkham City are a massive improvement over the ones in Arkham Asylum. As a matter of fact, the boss fights in Arkham Asylum, they honestly kind of suck. Like, Arkham Asylum is great and all, but if there's one thing that sucks about that game, it was honestly its lack of fun boss fights. Arkham City fixed that up because you get so many better boss fights in Batman Arkham City. My personal favorite is definitely the Solomon Grundy boss fights. Spoilers if you haven't played this game already or haven't seen it, but there's basically a boss fight with Solomon Grundy, my favorite DC villain of all time. You guys can guess why. You get Ra's al Ghul, you get Clayface, you get Poison Ivy as Catwoman again, because you also play as Catwoman. I'll talk about that in a second. And of course, you also get Penguin for a short period of time. You just get so many fun boss fights in this game. And quickly, I want to talk about the villains. If you are a huge Batman fan, this game is like one big wet kiss to Batman fans because you get so many awesome villains that make a return in Arkham City. Except for Deathstroke, unfortunately. Killer Clock also does not make a return. He was a great boss fight in Arkham Asylum, my only one I liked in Arkham Asylum. But you get plenty of great Batman villains as well. You also get a couple of cameos from like the Mad Hatter as well as Deadshot in a side mission. So the boss fights in Arkham City are fantastic. You also get a plethora of amazing Easter eggs. Again, this game is such a treat for Batman fans because not only do you get great boss fights, but you also get a great amount of Easter eggs. There are Easter eggs hidden throughout areas of Arkham Asylum and also areas inside of, like, you know, the buildings and stuff like Two-Face's courthouse or you know, Penguin's mansion, etc., etc. You get a lot of fun little Easter eggs and callbacks as well as some to Arkham Asylum. For example, on top of the Arkham City bridge, you could actually find Scarecrow's mask just lying there. So, you know, that's just an example. That's just like a good example of a good Easter egg. There are also some moments in the game where you play as Catwoman. I didn't like these segments, to be honest. I just don't like playing as Catwoman because she's a lot weaker compared to Batman. It's a lot harder to actually take out guys with guns when you're playing as her. She doesn't get as much gadgets, but I'm not a huge fan of playing as her. But you get to play as Catwoman. Her gameplay is pretty fun in the combat. Now I actually want to talk about some segments in Arkham City. And these are not combat or stealth segments. These are just some really interesting, fun segments. For example, there's one segment in this game where when you're inside of Penguin's museum, there's a moment where you go in the Iceberg Lounge and you're literally walking on ice. And there's a shark underneath just waiting to literally eat you alive. Definitely a fun segment. There's another segment. It's kind of like a nightmare sequence. It reminds me a lot of the Scarecrow sequence, but there's like this psychological horror segment where you're inside of Ra's al Ghul's world or whatever, and you have to fly to his little you have to fly to this blue area, basically this platform, and if you touch anything along the way, then you die. So it's definitely like a fun little psychological moment. But yeah, Arkham City has a lot of fun gameplay segments as well, and these segments are not combat or stealth focused, but yeah, anyways, guys, the combat, the stealth, the fun segments, the open world, Arkham City is a fantastic game. Combat feels better than ever. Stealth is more tactile. The exploration is 10 times better than it was in Arkham Asylum. You get plenty of fun little areas to explore in this game. Areas that are actually better than Arkham Asylum. My favorite is definitely Joker's little steel mill inside and the outside. Definitely a fun little place to explore, as well as the Penguin's museum. Those are my two favorite areas. Two-Face's courthouse is okay as well. There's a fun little Easter egg in there that I will not spoil for you guys. The only other thing to talk about besides the characters and all that is honestly the story, and I gotta say, Arkham City's story is definitely a massive improvement over Arkham Asylum. The story has a lot more plot twists, a lot more is at stake. The story is awesome in Arkham Asylum, so if you're a fan of Batman type stories and comics, then you're gonna love the story as well. One spoiler I'll give to you, as you guys probably already know, Hugo Strange is the main bad guy in the game, but at the end it turns out he wasn't. He was just some other guy's puppet or whatever. But I'm not gonna spoil that for you guys. You know I don't spoil stories in my game reviews because I want you guys to experience that for yourself. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all we've talked about. Upgrades are good, combat is good, stealth is good, gadgets are good. What else? Is there anything else to talk about? Honestly, I don't think so. Besides maybe like the atmosphere and maybe the side missions. The side missions in Arkham City, you know, they're okay. They're basically your cookie cutter side missions, you know, definitely not too bad, not too shabby. Last thing I want to talk about is the soundtrack. Soundtrack for Arkham City is great. Some of the most intense Batman music I've ever heard. It also sounds very heroic as well, so the soundtrack is also amazing. Now, this is unfortunately where the review is going to get a bit negative. The remastered version of Arkham City, basically Return to Arkham. I'll show you guys right now, actually. this version of the game, Return to Arkham, it kind of sucks. So this version of the game, this remastered version, it honestly really sucks. While I was playing Return to Arkham, I had plenty of technical issues. The game crashed on me one time, and there was also a lot of texture fade in. I'm gonna show you guys some negative reviews now so you can see that this was not only just a problem with me. Okay, so check out some of these reviews. You've got low frame rate. You've got bad texture fading. The texture fading is honestly terrible because this is supposed to be a remastered version of the game, and you know the characters look good. Like the graphics, like Batman for example, it all looks definitely good. It looks stunning and all that, but the rest of the game just does not look very good due to texture fading. As you guys can see, these are some other unsatisfied customers with this version of the game. So, yeah, I would recommend playing this on PC, maybe play it on PC so you could get the PS3 and 360 version, because Return to Arkham City is kind of broken. A lot of like bad graphics. You've got bad texture fade in, bad frame rate. So that's probably the only problem. It's not Arkham City's fault. It's Rocksteady's fault. Definitely disappointing. But anyways, thank you guys so very much for watching this review. But Arkham City is one of the best games ever made. It is one of the best superhero games ever made. One other thing I gotta talk about honestly is like you get the return of challenge maps. You get challenge maps. You get some fun little collectibles. You got Easter eggs. I already talked about that. You've got your Riddler trophies. That pretty much covers everything, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this review, and thank you for watching so much. Let me know, what do you think about Batman Arkham City? This is definitely one of my favorite games of all time. I will be doing a review for Harley Quinn's Revenge DLC, which will be coming shortly after this video. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Take care, y'all.